Hey, good Cyber Monday, everyone. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Today is, again, Cyber Monday, and we want to make a big announcement in case you guys haven't heard, because I know a lot of people are busy during the Thanksgiving weekend and family and events and parties and all that. We are extending the Black Friday sale out to the end of tonight, so 8 p.m. our time, Mountain Time tonight. We're extending the sale out. We should have done that right from the beginning because I think that's what we did last year, but we didn't even think about it. But there's just, we don't want to take a chance that you guys missed out because you were off doing family stuff. So anyway, I will put a link to the page with all the sale items in the description of this this video, and if you need that link, you can't find it, let me know. But basically, it's all the layout letters, numbers, sets, including the starter packs, all of the layout template sets, which there are a gazillion of them, all of the layout template, or excuse me, stencils. That's the family, and you guys saw Friday's video, so you know. And then, of course, the online course, Carving All Things Inset. So those things are all on sale still until 8 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. 50% off of all of that stuff. So if you guys need that link and you can't find it, just let me know. Now, when you go to that link, by the way, just so you know, the prices you see on there will be the regular prices. You won't see the sale price discount until you go to the shopping cart. So don't get freaked out about that. It's half of whatever you see on that link, on that price, on that page. All right, let's get into coffee and questions today. So first one is from Steve. And Steve says, like you, my favorite letters are the outset with the cloud. They're just so attractive. Anyway, I'm making a sign for our front to advertise, and scalloping out the cloud made the inside of my thumb joints ache. What are your thoughts? Just suck it up or what? So here's what happens very often with brand new sign carvers. And actually, sign carvers have been around for a while. What you tend to do is really grip that thing and white knuckle it. So I don't know exactly how he's gripping it, but my hunch is he is gripping way too tight. So there are several different ways you can do that. I generally just have my forefingers and my thumbs here, and I'm guiding it that way. A lot of people have their thumbs, let me turn it this way, have their thumbs like up here. No, that's not working out. A lot of people have their thumbs like up here. I know Cody Schroeder does that. Let me turn it. Well, that won't work. We're trying to figure out the angle. Anyway, so, yeah. So some people put their thumbs there. That makes me a little nervous that I might sneeze and my thumb goes in and hits that shaft. So be really careful if you do that. Just be real careful. For me, again, my forefingers and thumbs, a nice light touch. Most of my, probably, I don't know, what's that, 75% of my hand is on the board. But again, my advice to Steve is he's just gripping it way too tight. So have a loose grip on that thing, guys. All you're doing is you're guiding that. You don't have to have a real death grip on that. That's just going to wear you out way too fast. So that was my advice on there. So now, next question, and this is one that I don't get a lot. In fact, I probably over the years I've only had it a few times. So I'm going to give you a little demo. This is kind of strange, and I don't even think Vicky knows this. This is the Clarendon R, and there's something kind of different about this. This is a 4-inch letter. And so I'm using a large letter just because it'll be a little bit easier to demonstrate. So when you're laying this thing out, if you look at this, what happens here, guys, is because of the way that this is a Clarendon font that we just have been using for years and years and years. But one thing about it, when you're using bigger letters like this, if you notice, this drops down below that baseline. So if this is right on that baseline, that R drops down. Now the 4-inch is from here to here. So you've got, you've got to figure out how you want to do that. Again, on the small letters, it never comes up. And in fact, very seldom does this ever come up. But Scott asked why that is. And that is because that's the way the Clarendon font is made. And we downloaded Clarendon Font, and we've been doing it that. So here's what I do. I'm going to spray this real quick, and I'm going to show you what I do. This is the way I do it. You can do it a couple different ways, but this is the way I do it. We're going to let that set for a second or two. But you can see what I did was I put the tail, it's what I'm calling the tail, up on the baseline. Now the way I make the adjustment is I go ahead and I bring this down to the bottom. So when I draw my lines on there, I'll have that baseline. Oh my gosh, can you hand me the... Thank you, babe. Yeah, that's good. That'll work. So when I draw my baseline on there, I'm doing this upside down. And now I know that it's 4 inches from here to here. So that is my 4-inch letter. What I'll do is when I carve this, I'll bring it clear down to that baseline so these are even. But then this is going to look much fatter. So what I'll do is I'll just trim that down a little bit. I just kind of do it by hand on bigger letters. Again, smaller letters, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inch, it really doesn't matter because it doesn't show up. But as you get bigger letters, it shows up more and more. So this is the way I would do this. I would just trim this down when I'm carving, okay? And you can, you could make the adjustment here when you're doing this too, and then just bring this down all the way to the baseline. Then you've got a full 4 inches from that baseline to the top of the letter, and it will match all your other letters. I hope that makes sense. Did you know that, babe?
I remember you telling somebody about it one time.
Yeah, it just doesn't come up. I think maybe over the last 20 years, only a few people have asked that question, but I wanted to do that little demo so you guys can get an idea. But that's the only letter out of the Clarendon, out of any of the fonts that I know of, as far as the fonts that we have, that has that that issue. So just the R, nothing else does that. I don't know why the creators of Clarendon did that, but that's what they did. Anyway, it's kind of goofy. But, all right, so that's that. Let's move on to the next thing, which is really quick. Smith found a website where, and many of you guys only use the Marsh Ink. You don't use the primer. I use both, but I use the primer more than I use the ink anymore, just because it's easy to get. I can get it, at Walmart or an auto parts store or something. But if you really like the ink instead of the primer, there's a website that Smith has found that has this stuff for $4.95 a can, which is really good, because I've seen it as much as like 12 or 15 bucks a can. I don't know what it is right now on Amazon, but $4.95 a can is really good. And then the colors, this is the red. I don't have the cap, but this is the red, and there's green and blue and all that. The colors are $5.08 a can, which again is really, really good price. The website I'll put across the screen right now, but it's hillas.com, HILLAS.com, and they're out of Fort Worth, Texas. So if you guys use the ink and you don't have a better price than that, I understand Smith was telling me that the customer service was really good. So I have not bought it myself, but based on this, I went to the website, and that is, in fact, the price that they have quoted on the website. So that might be helpful for you guys. All right, next. Let's see. Yeah, so now Noel asks, is there a go-to depth that you like to carve at? I know the depth varies as to the thickness of the letters, but if you could choose a depth, what would it be? Well, unfortunately, you just can't do that because it's always going to change based on what you're carving. So I don't have a set depth. Now, I do have some specific rules of thumb that I go by, but I don't have a specific depth. The rules, and I kind of went over the rules with him. I made some notes here. So I hardly ever go more than 1/4 of an inch deep. Sometimes lately I have been going a little bit more than that, but that's on big letters. Maybe I'm doing some power carving, whatever, like, you know, this kind of thing where I will go deeper in some areas than 1/4 of an inch. But by and large, just your standard regular signs, I generally don't go more than 1/4 of an inch deep. With the carving liner, I never go more than 1/8 of an inch deep because a carving liner will snap if you try and take too much all in one shot. Now, if you want to go deeper with a carving liner, you could make multiple passes, but then, see, that kind of defeats the purpose. You might as well use the profile bit, because by the time you go 1/8 of an inch deep with the carving liner or a little bit deeper, you probably could be using the profile bit, and it's going to cut much better because the profile bit has 2 flutes, carving liner only has 1. I'm sorry if this is redundant for you guys that have heard me say this before, but for a lot of new people, you might not have heard me say that before. So the carving liner don't go more than 1/8 of an inch deep, especially if you're using hardwoods, oak, alder, cherry, whatever. I just won't go more than 1/8 of an inch, and it doesn't make sense to. On the background bit, the 90 degree, that's the one I use for my background most of the time. If I've got room, I like to go 1/4 of an inch because I like that deep background. You know, it gives a much more three-dimensional look. So that's kind of my standard, is 1/4 of an inch deep with a 90. And then on the 60 degree bit, I use that mostly for inset letters, small inset letters. And for that, I go anywhere from 1/8 to 3/16, depending on the stroke of the letter. And by the stroke of the letter, in case you guys don't know, let me turn this around. This would be the stroke of the letter, what I call the width of the letter. So the stroke of the letter would be the width of that. Now you can see it's narrower in some places than it is in others, but that's the stroke of the letter. So based on doing small inset letters, gosh darn, I hit that microphone. Sorry about that. Based on the stroke of the letter, that's what I go by. And I will normally cut a little bit wider than the stroke of the letters on small inset letters, because after you sand it, you're going to lose a little bit of that surface, which makes the V cut a little bit narrower because you're taking some off of the surface. So I cut a little bit wider than the stroke on small stuff. Let's see. Yeah, that is about it. So, guys, this is a real quick. I kind of want to do this kind of coffee and questions again, answering these questions that come up. So, if you guys have questions, you know I answer questions pretty much all day long when I'm not filming. We've got some demos coming up. A lot of really cool projects coming up. But if you guys have questions, please email me directly, eric@makeawoodsign.com. And again, remember, the Black Friday sale is still going on until 8 p.m. tonight Mountain Time. If you guys have questions and you want to order over the phone, give Vicky a call, 928-565-4566. And if you don't want to use the website, you can always call in your order as well. So anyway, guys, that is it. Have a great Cyber Monday. We love you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.